So we waited another week, and wouldn't you know it, a whole bunch of events have passed. We went from hearing that Sony was going to ditch porting single player games to PC, which they, by the way, as of today, March 6th, at almost 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, have not officially announced that they were going to do. But I tell you what, PlayStation Asia did. They announced a PC-ready DualSense controller, which leads me to believe that either they are more than ready to back up the idea that their multi-platform live service games, which, to be fair, were mentioned to still continue to come out on PC. They want to make sure that people who have those games and maybe have some of the single player games they have released definitely have a controller that works natively with their platform. But again, doesn't most of the DualSense stuff work with their single player games? Like, is somebody really using uh, the DualSense features in multiplayer games that maybe are competitive? Wouldn't some of that stuff be like distracting? Like, are there any Call of Duty players who use the DualSense? I mean, mind you, that's not a PlayStation game, right? But are there any Call of Duty players who use the DualSense to, or while they're playing Call of Duty? It seems like that would be distracting or annoying to deal with that. Yeah, immersive, yes, but also distracting, annoying, especially if you're playing ranked mode, Warzone, things of that nature. So that leads a lot of people to believe, myself included, that Sony is not about to stop porting games to PC. I've had a lot to say about this online. Well, not a lot, but I've put my share of comments out there about it. And here's my thing: there's reports that the biggest issue was that they weren't making enough money off games like Spider-Man, and they weren't making money off of like Ghost of Tsushima and a lot of other single player narrative-based games that they ported to PC. And my response is, shit, to get off the pot. You and I will quote myself, you cannot give PC players your ass to kiss and say, oh well, we put this game on PlayStation 7, 8, 12, 16, 18 months ago. Now you can buy it for $60 because we threw in some extra stuff that we gave the PlayStation dudes who bought it day one for free. And every once in a while it'd be nice to throw in the DLC, right? For $60. Here's the thing. PC players, in particular the ones who are on Steam, and I'll even throw in Epic Game Store, right? In the case of Steam, and you can check this, last year was the first year it happened, but the year before it was like 18,000. Last year they put out 20,000 games on Steam. Some of you will roll your eyes. Oh, a lot of that stuff was like porn games and random indie games that went into quote-unquote beta and may never actually ship or reach 1.0 status. This is true. This is absolutely true. But it's still 20,000 games, right? And the year before, 2024, it was 18,000 plus games. That's just on Steam. A platform that, generally speaking, has free-to-play games but does not give out games for free. Now, you go to Epic Game Store, where in a month's time, they could give away anywhere between 4 and 6 games away in 1 month's time. Because them Fortnite skins sure do bring in a lot of money. More than enough to pay company A, B, C, and D to let you give their game away free on your storefront. PC players, whole point being, have way too much shit that's laid at their feet between just those two storefronts. We're not even talking about GOG, which constantly emails coupons that gives you 75, 80, 90% off a game. There's way too many games laid at their feet. Whole websites Roblox is on there too, by the way. Whole websites that give you way too many games for them to sit there and kiss your ass because you finally decided to sell them some Spider-Man game 3 to 6 months after it came out. Because Sony, what you're doing, and what the fanboys don't want to acknowledge, is you're allowing the streets to speak for your game. You're allowing the internet and YouTube to tell people what your game is. And if those spaces are saying your game's whack, 3 months later, you ain't gonna sell shit. The word was out on Spider-Man 2 by the time it hit PC. The word was out. Now, if I'm being a shrewd businessman, I'd have been like, well, damn, this game ain't as good as the last one. We can put this on PC the same day so we can get consumers to buy it day one. But no, you didn't do that because for some strange reason, there are people at Sony that seem to think that they are Nintendo. And I'm gonna be honest with you, even Nintendo ain't Nintendo anymore. And they know that shit. They know they ain't special. They ain't like that no more. They ain't got it like that. Not anymore. Like, what are they selling to people mostly? Pokemon. Because Pokemon is Pokemon. But they don't even make that shit. Let's just be real. They don't. Game Freak does. And it looks like after 30-some years now, they're finally stepping out of that element and they're making their own stuff. With this beast of creation. Or stepping out again because they've done it before, but to various levels of success, mostly nowhere near as big as Pokemon. I digress. Sony, and again, they have not officially announced anything, but if you are going to go back to only your live service games are coming to PC, I wish you luck with that. Because the last thing the PC audience needs is another game that's going to treat their hobby like it's their job. And they got to cut it on every day. And fucking open up a battle pass and earn skins and other shit. It's too many games that are actually fun to play most of the time that already do that to them enough. Nothing you make is going to crack that shell. And from what I understand, I don't know, Marathon is learning that lesson right now. Like, I hope Marathon's doing well, but I ain't heard nothing good about it. And to be honest with you, yesterday when it launched, I didn't see any YouTube live videos of it. That don't mean anything, right? It's not like I was looking for them because I have no interest in the game, but just saying. I hope it's not doom and gloom because people might lose their jobs behind that, and that's the last thing I want to happen. But it ain't looking good for them. Last I heard, anyway. Could be completely wrong. If you're not going to put your games on PC day and date, if you're going to capitulate to these rabid fanboys who don't know shit about running a multi-billion-dollar business, you're going to fail at doing this because I don't see you pulling another Helldivers 2 out your ass no time soon, especially seeing how Arrowhead has said that they're publishing their next game themselves. Because they know where the money is. The money's everywhere, not just the PlayStation. Y'all didn't believe in that game. Y'all didn't have no faith in that game. When that game popped off, y'all was just as surprised as anybody else. Maybe even more so. You were so surprised you put the shit on Xbox. So, I'm going to say again. Jason Schreier, God bless him, put out something he heard. Sony ain't said shit, but yeah, we got a new PC controller coming out. And then above all things, Asha and the killer, Matt Booty. I'm going to talk about that one real soon. Because y'all PlayStation fanboys was cheering about that shit. It's like, if Matt Booty ain't gone, you got a problem. And King already touched on this, but I'm going to, expand on that a bit when I get my opportunity to. Matt Booty's a fucking problem. Not Phil Spencer being there, he was playing nice. Phil Spencer didn't want to go full scorched earth. Matt Booty has literally been caught saying, I want to go full fucking scorched earth. And he got Asha's ear. So celebrate that if you want to. If you in this council war shit. That probably ain't good for you though. All that being said, if Sony's not going to go day and date with their single player narrative games just as they are, the Marvel Tokens and all that other stuff, they might as well keep that shit. And hope that the PlayStation fan base supports it well enough that, you know, that'll work out for them, because you can't give PC players your ass to kiss. They not going for it, bro. They not. 20,000 games. It won't be nothing out as good as Wolverine. I ain't gonna dare say that, but it'll be like 4 or 5 games that play just like Wolverine on that bitch by the time you decide to port it. What's the point? You're not gonna make the money. The money would be made if you had the balls to do that. But if you're not gonna do that, keep that shit. Keep that shit and pray that the PlayStation dudes buy it enough, because God knows they talk about it enough on Twitter. But shit'll get off the pot, man. And the way these live service games going, you gotta ask yourself, is porting those to PC enough? Because outside of Helldivers, ain't none of that shit hitting. And ain't none of that shit looking like it's gonna hit. Like I said, I think you would sell 5 to 10 million copies of Wolverine on PC if it came out the day, or I'll even be nice and say a month later. But telling PC dudes that they can kiss your ass and wait till you decide to put it out 3, 6, 8, 10, 12 months later, yeah, good luck with that shit. 20,000 games, something like it gonna be out. It may not be as good, like I said, but it'll be something like it. And they not gonna give it then. That's just that, man. That's just that. That's the reality. Shit or get off the pot. Choose your own adventure, Sony. That's all I got. But I'll catch you on the next video, man. Peace out.